call the meeting to order for Jordanelle Special Service District for March 9th. And go to the agenda with the minutes. Have you had a chance to read the minutes? And if there is, we need a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Board Member Goode, and then second by Kip. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're good. Warrants?
We want this. Wasn't there?
I didn't notice the new warrant list tonight.
Yes, the one that I gave you to sign is an updated one.
Oh, that's it? Okay, I thought it was the same one.
So the new one is for,
Give me the total. For the record,
Just a
Jim
minute.
or Kendall?
I'm getting to the new one's for 903-205, is that correct? The other one was different, so it's the 903.
692, so what is it?
903-205-92.
Okay. Any questions, discussion about any of the payments?
I have one question. We have a charge in there for United Rental North America. A live streaming project for WRF. What is WRF?
The water reclamation facility is what that.
We've had a pretty bad situation with flies getting in the building. I'm not going to describe it. So our crews have installed screens over the vents that are otherwise open, and we had to have a lift to get them up and ready to work.
I didn't recognize WRF.
Is that, I noticed this one on lifting hoist in mind to remove cages. How's that whole project moving along? Maybe we'll talk about later if it doesn't fit here.
Very good question. The cage has been removed from the mine shaft.
That's the one that's
The
down.
hoist worked. We brought in the former operator to operate the hoist. The shiv that is working, there are two shivs up in that area, those of you that have seen
The
it.
ones that were twisted.
One is twisted, the other one's not. The other one worked fine, and they were able to lift that cage out of there. That cage is probably about as long as your dais here, and extremely unwieldy, but they got it out. We'll have to cut it up to get it out of the mine, but it's out of the hole.
I'd love to have seen that machine run.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
No,
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, Caroline Martinez, was it Rick that was running it?
I have a video of it on my phone.
Awesome. I'd love to see that.
Those are historic.
Their question was whether it was the thing that even run again.
Yeah.
What's the Caterpillar insurance? Is that for rental equipment?
Yes. I assume that's for
What did you say?
Backhoe's Caterpillar
Caterpillar
insurance.
insurance?
Yeah, that's for the cats.
So we insure them through Caterpillar then? Gotcha.
I've had one or two here.
Go.
Insurance, and not this insurance, they came last year and they did a presentation to us. Was that for last year? Was that for this year? It seems like it's a little higher. It'd be nice to reduce that.
Which one are you talking about?
A liquor slide?
It's a little higher for this year.
Did have any claims of it? We know where breaks or anything like that.
We had one claim of a home that was flooded in Deer Crest, the basement level.
Okay. How about an update on the appraisal? Looks like we have the retainer here for the appraisal report. Just curious about that. Are we doing
That was a approval of a check we already wrote for half of the appraisal cost for them to get started. And Mike, you want to report on that? We've just gotten 2 or 3 parcels in so far.
Yeah, we did. Mainly having to do with our mediation discussion. The one that came back, and it was, we've got to have some clarification on it. The information wasn't complete and what we wanted, so we're still working on it. So we can talk about that more later, but it's coming. Any other questions about warrants? Oh, we've done any purchases for stuff on the for that pump replacement yet? Or are we waiting for our new person to be on board for that?
All of the equipment's been ordered.
Okay. I knew you'd ordered it, but I haven't seen anything
We're
coming
working on a situation with Rocky Mountain Power where if we show that what we're going to install saves a certain level of power over what was there before, that they will participate in the cost. So we're ordering equipment, so we have it ready to go, but we're at the same time going through the paperwork and what we need to do to try to get that project under this umbrella. And there will be a number of others that we'll discuss with that.
rebate support. Well covered. Anything else on the warrants? If not, motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we pass the warrant list as presented.
Second? Anybody want to second that? I'll second. Mike, seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes. Development agreements, Ron?
I want to give a little bit of introduction to this. Our attorney, Lee Kapolowski, has, about 2 weeks ago, we were informed that he had a family emergency and would not be available for a few weeks. So we've been working with Wendy Crowther of the same firm and another attorney by the name of Robert Hughes. We went and met with them, Doug Scow and I, for an hour and a half or so to start this off. And they've been very responsive and have actually developed, this is a slightly different template for our development agreements, and I think it's better than what we had before. So this is for Deer Cove, which I think you all know is north of the Jordanelle Fire Station. In that area, there's a large mound of dirt that's been deposited there. That's the approximate site. It's for, remember I said it was in the AIS.
Culinary water and sanitary sewer development.
Right.
And service.
So they are ready to proceed to the county planning commission, and we ask that this development agreement be approved. Once the development agreement is approved and signed by both parties, then I will issue a well-served letter which allows them to go to preliminary approval of the county. They have 495 ERUs in that development, and they have water reservations to serve that total number of ERUs.
They paid that reservation.
Yes, I believe they're up to date on reservation fees.
This says 330. That must be different.
Well, that's part of it. That's what's under the sewer bond. 330 ERUs is under the sewer bond that they participate in. So the difference, those ERUs will be on the bonded impact fee. The remaining, the difference between 330 and 495 will be unbonded impact fees.
Okay. Other questions?
What is Beaver Valley outfall or expanded outfall? What is that?
That's the sewer line that will come, serve that whole area. That'll come off the face of the dam and down to the water reclamation facility, the WRF. And there's a coalition of developments that are working to, that outfall is scheduled in the impact fee study to be built in 2023. So if developers, landowners up there want to develop now in the near future, They are voluntarily coming together as a coalition to fund that by paying their impact fees up front and constructing it. And that's all in process and under discussion at this present time.
How much are we allowed to send over to the current?
For Deer Cove, it's the 330 ERUs.
So they can continue to send that?
You're talking, your
He's
question's
talking
for
about
Midway.
Heber Valley.
Yeah,
It's
the
up
Heber
to
Valley.
Up to 1,600, but we're gonna end up having this ready to go probably before we do.
Well,
That's-
I can
that's
say
what
if
they're
the
bought
developers
into.
are wanting them, go ahead.
That's what they bought into with 330 ERUs.
Okay.
So there's capacity there for 330 ERUs, and if they want to develop to their 550 goal, then they have to wait until that water reclamation facility is coming up.
495.
What's the 550?
Well,
Is that a different? I don't remember.
they have 495 water ERUs, but those for multifamily dwellings that are under 1,500 square feet, they don't use a full ERU for each one of those, and for commercial space and office space. So what you come up with is a land use ERU of around whatever it is, 1,100, I can't remember off the top of my head. But their water equivalent residential units are 495. So that all of that, with our calculations, all that fits within the 495.
What's the 550?
That's the difference between the 330 and their total. So 330 and 550, what, 880? So it wasn't 1,100, it's 880, I mentioned. Okay.
Okay, so good question. One more quick thing. You mentioned that this template's an improvement from the last version. I would say that.
I just think it's better written, gives us more protection, does away with some stuff that wasn't necessary. I drafted the old one from the Red Ledges interlocal agreement, and our attorney at that time had reviewed it, but I think that what they've done now is an improvement over that.
So we have a new template you can go forward.
Yeah. So getting through these two that are on the agenda tonight has been somewhat time consuming, but it should be much easier from this point on.
Any other questions?
So I just want to clarify, they're not looking to use the water treatment plant or the sewer treatment plant out there until 2023, or if they want to come in earlier, they've got to pay for it to come in earlier.
We've got them covered if they come in earlier until we're ready to do the other planning.
And they've expressed an interest in participating in this coalition, this group that's getting together to build that sewer outfall.
When will that line, when are we projecting that line will physically be put in?
Well, if all goes well, it should be designed this year and probably constructed in 2017.
And so it could potentially sit
If all
unused.
goes well.
Right, and it could be potentially sit unused until 2023, that's the
No.
potential.
No,
No, once it starts
once it's built,
feeding in, they can turn the plant on.
once it's
Right.
built, the plant will turn on. The only reason,
There's enough ERUs here
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
For sure on this one.
to run.
yeah.
And we pull in another 60 or whatever from the other side too.
And then they understand that if the other development takes, or are they in areas, I can't remember.
No.
No.
So if they understand that they can get bumped out.
We'll have to, no, they won't be knocked out, we'll have to build
We
more.
would build on, we would have to expand.
We have to expand, we always have to make sure they have that coverage.
They will always have their capacity.
There's plenty of capacity now.
The new money is build the new part of expansion.
Area C does not own the plant.
They have capacity.
They have capacity.
They have maximum capacity.
They have capacity in the plant and their needs will be met as time goes by.
We cannot not deliver that, but we have to.
But we have to develop, we have to deliver to the area C, they have priority.
They do. So if they went in and started building 3,000 or 2,000, we've got to deliver.
We have to get this impacted.
And that's what impact fees do.
So we'll have the impact fees to make that expansion.
It's a little bit different, but seeing as this is an agreement we're doing, anybody here have a question about it? I don't know if any of you are affected by this.
I just want to understand, we're talking about the current treatment plant or an additional treatment plant for 2023?
2023 is the year that's in the impact fee study that this line would be built. Under the anticipated growth that was anticipated when the study was done. Obviously, there's more interest in growth now that's being evident through these 4 or 5 developments that may come online. And so they're talking about building the line now by paying their impact fees up front instead of waiting until 2023.
Mike, your question though is the plant now.
Yeah, my understanding, what we've talked about in previous meeting, is the plant there now is going to start up in what, a year or 2 years, you're thinking?
As soon as that line's done.
My goal is 18 to 24 months, but that's a goal.
As soon as there's enough capacity going, capable of going to that plant, then it can be turned on and operate.
Once the outfall lane's ready. Anyway, anybody else?
No problem.
Ron, anything
Well,
else?
I've got a question. Is this development agreement like posted anywhere? I didn't even know this was up for discussion. So is it, how are we supposed to have a comment about a development agreement when, is it on the public meeting notice website?
Yes, the agenda is.
Yeah,
If
not
you
the,
want a copy of the development agreement, you'd have to request that.
And the development agreement
okay,
is
so
actually-
how are we supposed to comment on the development agreement if we've never seen a copy of it? Okay,
Frankly, you didn't have any point to discuss it, I just asked for questions, so it wasn't a hearing. That's it, by courtesy, I'd ask if you had questions. That said, this is between a private developer and the district, and isn't even a public event until we get it done.
So-
It's not some,
so there will be a public hearing later on it.
no, not necessarily. This is a private development and their agreement. Yeah, their agreement with the district.
The public hearings are before the county planning commission. This is just a service agreement that we are agreeing to provide water and sewer service to this development if it happens under the conditions outlined in this agreement.
Yeah, the next step, when they get a preliminary plat and they do that, then this will be part of all of the hearing then. Okay?
But they have to have this in place to go before the planning
To get a
commission.
will serve that.
Is this the JSSD Planning Commission you're talking about?
No, okay. think
So I thought we were going to have a separate
it is a
JSSD.
Right, it is a
Okay, J-SPA.
I apologize.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Didn't add all this confusion to it. Ron, anything else? Okay, back to the board. Any comments?
I make the motion that we approve the manager to go ahead and execute the development agreement with Deer Cove.
Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Staying on with the Wasatch.
Okay, the development agreement for Wasatch Springs is the next item. We've given you a new copy tonight. We've been working on the numbers with the developers, and we now have those tied down. Those are particularly in system impacts, which is item 2, starting on the bottom of page 3.
So we're looking at version 7, not version 5.
Probably.
I'm assuming that's the most current, the one you
Yes.
handed us tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Version 7.
I had to order what we did.
I like how you bolded some of these sentences in here just to make sure that they understand certain parts of the agreement.
That's thanks to the attorney. So this section 2 covers the fact that this developer has to build a larger sewer outfall to serve that Iroquois area. There's an 8-inch sewer line now. It's not large enough for the increased density up there, so they and 3 other developments have to build a 10-inch sewer line to give the capacity for the proposed density up there.
It's a proposed hotel part of this, going to be subsequent. They're involved in this.
Well, that's the next item we'll talk
I
about.
understand, but as far as the sewer outfall line,
Right.
are they part of that?
Yes. And that's the item on your amended agenda, it's the line extension.
Yeah. But you said sizing, I just want to make sure there is.
Right.
Tell for the public, where's Iroquois?
Iroquois is on both sides of Highway 248,
Just as it crosses over into the Wasatch County.
near Hideout. Wasatch County, Summit County line.
By Brown's Canyon, that's good. Okay. Any other discussion? Do you have anything more on?
And I apologize, but we were working on this as of 3:45 this afternoon, so getting everything ironed out. We've had a number of meetings last week and this week that brought it down to a meeting yesterday with our engineer and their engineer and the developer. And we just couldn't get it done sooner.
This is under that same new template, right?
Yes.
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve this development and service agreement, version number 7, I believe it is. for Wasatch Springs.
Okay, second?
I got,
You give a second first, and you can ask.
we have seconds.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I have a concern. We need to have a firm lease agreement on the water in place before you exercise this.
And we're working on that.
So is
Make
that
that part of the motion.
No, I didn't have to be part of the motion, it's just an understanding.
Isn't this technically Rollins anyway? He's running it by us for our
If we need a motion.
for our input.
Well, Councilman Kohler has to sign it.
We're approving it. So in other words, it's our thing to approve, it's not just his, or he wouldn't, we could just sign it. Anyway, back to the motion. Is everybody comfortable with the motion? Steve, you okay with that?
Yes.
Do I have a second? Then we did have a second. Hearing none, we'll move ahead. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. You got
But
it.
I have one comment in response to
Please.
board member McPhee's comment. I've been doing it this way to make sure you're comfortable. If you would like for me to negotiate these and sign them without,
I understand why we're looking at it and what we're seeing, but technically, I thought it was ultimately development
That's the way
agreement
it's been.
between the manager and the developer.
that's the way it's been done in the
And
past.
so I understand why, and there's some new changes and some things, so I understand, but
At some point, if this becomes burdensome, you want to
it's not burdensome.
not look at
I'm
everyone and
just wanting to, I think we got a lot of people overseeing things. That's all. I'll leave it, we do.
All right, USAD Board Representative, Ron, is that something you're doing? Have you sit all the way down?
Sorry.
Back up.
we're requested by the Utah Association of Special Districts to make application for membership, and part of that is designating we call it a board member, but it's not their board, it's everybody that's a member that designates a voting person for the annual meeting. And I went to the meeting in December, or late November, whatever that was. I was the only one present, so I picked up the packet and voted at that time. So I'm just suggesting that the board take action that's required by their bylaws, that the governing board appoint the voting member and an alternate. So my suggestion is that you appoint me as the voting member, and if there's someone that wants to serve as the alternate, you can appoint them as well.
What's your pleasure?
Chairman should be the
Or an employee of the district. How is the
This
others?
is probably more political. then what do you think?
And you're our guy, for sure.
That's very graciously stated. Ron, I haven't been to their board, other than the people that come for legislative. Is it mostly they're managing people and
Mostly.
others, or is there
Most of
employees?
management, there's some board members that attend as well.
Not many employees, though.
No.
Okay.
Some,
That's
I
the
mean, some of the larger districts,
I've never been to that board.
Weber and Jordanelle and so on, will have more.
Metro and all those. Okay. Anybody else want to do it? If not, I'll serve there for the time being. Okay, motion is in order.
I'll make the motion, we appoint the district manager as a representative on the UFD board, and that we ask the chairman of the district to be relevant.
Second? Second. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Excuse me, any opposed? Okay, motion carries.